Thanks for tuning into the BoshNRoll channel. Liking and subscribing the channel is free and easy, and it helps me out a lot. If you want to go a little farther with your support, I have Patreon and YouTube membership available, which includes access to the BoshNRoll Discord server, early access to things I'm working on, sideboard plans, cards I'm buying. You could have me play your deck on the channel, and the highest tiers come with individual coaching sessions. If you use the YouTube membership option, you get sweet, unique YouTube badges and emotes for the channel. If you want to play what I'm playing, you can use the code BoshNRoll to support my channel while you shop for cards at tcgplayer.com. And if you're playing on Magic Online, a cardhoarder.com loan account can let you play any deck anytime. If you want to wear your support, there is BoshNRoll merch available. All of these links are in the video description below. Thank you so much for watching. Now let's go play some Magic. Welcome to another BoshNRoll video. Today I'm playing Legacy, and this is revisiting a deck that I had a lot of fun working on a few months ago on the channel. This is Rob's Niv-Mizzet Yorion Domain Zoo. This is a deck that has every color in it. We got triomes, we got dual lands, basically one of everything. And the goal here is to win the game with the Niv-Mizzet. When Rob originally sent me this deck the first time through, it was more of a control deck. It had a bunch of 1-for-1 removal up the curve with the plan of playing Niv-Mizzet at the top to reload. And that's a plan that works in Modern and Pioneer, where the answers to a 5-drop are fewer, and a 6/6 is just a better thing on its own. In Legacy, there's Daze, there's Pyroblast, there's Force of Will, threats are faster. There's just a lot of better answers and better threats that you need to fight on the way up to your 5 different colors of mana. So I rebuilt the deck around Territorial Kavu, which was new at the time. Modern Horizons 2 had just come out, and we were playing 5 colors anyway. I wanted to try it. And that fundamentally shifts the deck from a control deck to a mid-range deck, where your opponent's going to have to use their cards, use their removal, use their counterspells on the threats that you're presenting up the curve. Like, hopefully their hand will be empty by the time you jam your Niv-Mizzet. And that's the goal with this build of the deck. And it went really well. I 4-1'd the last league I played with it. Rob's been working on it along the way. Rob is a Noble tier YouTube member, which means that he gets a coaching session every month as well. If you're interested in that, check out the join button below the video. But we have spent a coaching session working on this deck as well, playing through some leagues, tuning it up. We've been working on this behind the scenes, and I think it's still in a pretty good place. One of the biggest innovations we made since the last time you saw the deck on the channel is moving Force of Will to the sideboard. That's just not an important card in a large swath of matchups. You're playing to the board, you want to go 1-1, you want to go 1-for-1, you never want a 2-for-1 yourself, and there's just not that many blue cards in the deck to support it. And being an 80 card deck, your cards need to matter when you draw them, because you're going to see any individual card less often. And Force of Will is only really good in those combo matchups that are going to kill you very quickly. So we main decked a different strategy, which is Tidehollow Sculler. For these in the main deck, it's gold for Ferris Rockrick, it's Orzhov for Niv-Mizzet, it's a threat for the Zoo plan, and this will disrupt opponents while being proactive, and it's not dead if they're not a combo deck. It's not dead if you draw it in the min game and don't have a blue card to go with it. This was just a better main deck plan, and we could board in the forces if we want them post-board against particular decks. That was a big change, fundamental change. Now we're just tapping out even more often, and everything else is mostly still the same. Rob added a Valky that I wasn't playing to go with Bring to Light. They fixed Valky and Valky and Tibalt for Cascade, but you could still Bring to Light, choose Valky, and then cast Tibalt and get a 7-mana Planeswalker out of your deck for 5 mana. That is a line that exists in the deck. This deck also just easily gets to 7 mana some amount of the time. It's got a bunch of lands, every color, 8 mana dinguses, and that's a perfectly reasonable thing to do. It came up in at least one game during a coaching session. As far as the mana dorks go, Rob had 4 birds, 3 noble hierarchs. I changed a noble hierarch into an ignoble hierarch because this deck uses red and black mana just as much as it uses white and blue. and I wanted to diversify that a little bit. And then looking at the deck again, I decided I just wanted the third Noble Hierarch anyway. So it went from 7 up to 8 mana dorks. I wanted that more than Abundant Harvest, which is the card I cut for the 8th mana dork. I just think that jumping ahead on mana, fixing your mana, all of that is just going to be more important on average than this cantrip. And those are the changes I made to the deck. As you could see, the deck is set up. You have to make some weird card choices to pay off Niv-Mizzet. Niv-Mizzet, when it comes into play, reveal your top 10 cards. For each color pair, choose a card that's exactly those colors from among them and put it in your hand. So I can't play Lightning Bolt because Niv-Mizzet won't get it. I have to play Lightning Helix instead. That's a Boros card. Assassin's Trophy is Golgari. That's over something like Fatal Push. Izzet Charm is Izzet, obviously, instead of something else that could be in that slot, like a different counterspell or a different shock spell or a different looting spell. You just have to make those sort of choices. You got your Dimir, you got your Orzhov, Gruul, Simic, Azorius, Rakdos, Boros. Are all the guilds represented? I'm not even sure. I feel like I'm missing one. But that's what the goal of the deck is. Let's see if this can still hang out in the present day legacy. Let's see if we can improve on that 4-1. That would be a good place to go with it. It's zoo time. I'm on the play in the first round. I have revealed my Yorion. My opponent probably thinks I'm on Death and Taxes because that's the most common Yorion deck. This hand, unfortunately, the trips Kavus. I would keep this if any one of these 3 cards at random were a different land, but unfortunately I can't keep a 1-lander in my 5-color legacy deck. Okay, we got paid out. I'm going to keep this, send one of these Izzet Charms to the bottom, and I can invest in turn 3 Uro right now, or I could invest in 5/5 Kavu right now. And I think I'm going to invest in 5/5 Kavu. If you want your Kavu to be a 5/5 on turn 2, you have to fetch a Triome with your first fetch land. Bauble. Okay, we're playing it in some sort of Dragon's Rage Channeler deck. Just hope this deck doesn't have Stifle in it. Most of them don't. They targeted themselves with Bauble, using their fetch land that lets them get like a Scry if they want it. Like if they don't like that card, they can crack their fetch. And if they do like the card, they don't have to. Targeting me wouldn't have done anything there because I have a fetch land. I just hide the information. I gotta map this out. I have to get a land that can make red or green, and then I have to fetch the other land that makes red or green here, and I want to get all 5 along the way. So if I get Rockrin Triome and then fetch Bayou, that's all 5. Rockrin Triome and Bayou don't cast Izzet Charm though, so Ketria Triome makes red and green. I would need white and black. I would need to get Scrubland, which doesn't cast. And in Indatha Triome, this makes the green to get the red. I would need Volcanic Island, and this still doesn't cast Izzet Charm. So no combination of these cast Izzet Charm. So I'll just go with the original Jeskai land plus Bayou combo. Mapping out your land drops on the first few turns is among the hardest things that this deck has to do. Does drawing Sculler change my plan? I could check their hand with a Sculler. That'll check them for a removal. And then on next turn, I could Abundant Harvest for a land and still possibly Kavu. And Kavu is real good, but this is probably a Daze deck, probably a Swords to Plowshares deck. I'm going to go for the Sculler first. And Sculler uses the old templating of when this comes into play, exile the card, separate trigger. When it leaves play, give the card back. More recent cards are exile the card until this leaves play, like Kitesail Freebooter works differently than Tide Hollow Sculler. So if they kill Sculler in response to its exile a card trigger, the card is exiled forever. If you kill Kitesail Freebooter in response to its exile a card trigger, they just look at your hand and you get to keep all your cards. Sculler has resolved. Let's get a look here. They did have the Daze. They do have Wasteland. Wow, this is bad. I'm going to get Wasted and Unholy Heated and Dazed all next turn. What can I do to make this worse for them? Guess I just have to take one of the Unholy Heats. Guess I could have taken the Daze, but yeah, we're immediately running into the problem with playing 5 colors in Legacy, which is that Wasteland is a card in this format. Okay, they hit a Ragavan on top, so they can Unholy Heat plus Ragavan next turn. If I draw a land right now, I can Abundant Harvest. If I don't, they can Daze my Abundant Harvest, and then I'm in trouble. I'm going to go for the Harvest. They should just Daze it, but I hope they don't. Oh good, they didn't. I'm going to choose a land, play my land. I'm going to cast this Noble Hierarch as well, which they can Unholy Heat my Scholar, then Unholy Heat my Hierarch as well, but I still have to make the move that I'm able to make here. Green is for... The only green card or land left in my deck is Tropical Island or the Triomes or the basic. So I have to get the Trop here. Play Hierarch. And might as well attack. It's dead anyway. You could argue that now they don't have to cast Unholy Heat, they can just attack with Ragavan, but I still think that that attack makes sense. Yeah, they're just doing it pre-combat anyway. Not blocking Ragavan, of course. Abundant Harvest. Alright, that was among the best cards they could get out of my deck. Most of my cards are difficult to cast even for me, and even more so by a deck not built to spend 5 colors. They chose land, and they ended up with a Flooded Strand for their trouble. Okay, Unholy Heat, there it is. If I can remove or block this Ragavan, I'll actually feel pretty good here. So I'm looking for red mana. Alright. Now we're probably dead. That Wasteland lights out. Like this exact same hand they're playing with minus Wasteland. Like if they just have some other card at random, we're still doing pretty well here. But obviously, that's not what's going on. Ragavan hits me again. They got Drown in the Lock. They're not going to find a target for that. I played around it perfectly by not having any spells or creatures I can cast. Other expressive iterationing. Played an Island from Exile. And a Murktide Regent. I think this game's over, squad. I think it was over when they had Wasteland, but it's definitely over now. Okay, we're dead. Sideboard time. Pyroblasts are coming in. Engineered Explosives comes in. I like Plague Engineer as well. Cards that are worse in this matchup include Bring to Light. That's just a 5 mana thing that gets hit by Pyroblast, Daze, Spell Pierce, False Restore. I mean, just every single thing that could hit this. There it is. I like the Supreme Verdict. I'm probably going to cut a Niv-Mizzet, because I prefer to interact on the low end. Assume I'm going to operate under low mana, or some restricted mana. And, oh, I just submitted 81 cards. But alright. Hopefully that's not a huge difference. Yorion's been revealed. I have a pretty solid hand here. I'm going to keep it. It's just got a bunch of mana in it. Against a matchup like this, I would basically keep any hand with 3 lands in it. Got that turn 2 Ferris Rockrick. Hexproof from Monocolor. Unholy Heat? I don't think so. Lead on Hierarch. Just run my drop out there. If they want to waste me on the draw while I'm actually have land drops to make, that's pretty bad. The Ragavan. I can just rip Ragavan apart, or I could play Valky, check their hand, offer a trade with Ragavan. That gets punished by a removal spell of any kind. Valky can take a creature from their hand, but not... This isn't Sculler. I would definitely play Sculler if I had it. I think I just want to rip the Rag apart. Rip apart. Ragavan's out of here. I can't just jam Ferris into Daze. I have to play around Daze where I can. There's a Wasteland. Much worse this game than it was last game. That's the power of Mana Dorks, power being on the play, power of hitting your land drops, all of which are... Well, I don't usually advocate for Mana Dorks in Legacy, but I advocate for hitting your land drops and developing in Legacy, having stable mana. I could play Valky, check out their hand, and also play Birds of Paradise. Let's have a look. No creatures in their hand. Okay, they have Brainstorm, Brainstorm, Daze, Island, Ponder. Okay. See if they want to Daze a Birds of Paradise. I'll offer them that one all day. They're just behind on board by a lot of resources. That's fine. But I was right to play around Daze, as usual. That's the thing about Daze. You have to play around it all the time, because they always have it. Brainstorm changed the information I have. I'd be willing to bet they don't have this basic island in their hand anymore. But I'll believe that when I see it. I'm going to attack for 3 with my Valky. Thanks to Exalted. I'm going to cast Ferric, or Ferris, and hope that they didn't draw a Force of Will. Ferris is like the card that makes this deck hum. I mentioned Territorial Kavu in the deck tech, but it's really Ferris that makes this deck playable. Also from Modern Horizons 2. Protect or Hexproof from Monocolor. Whenever you cast a gold spell, you get a 4/4. Unreal. Emergency End Step Brainstorm. Delver decks don't want to be doing that, so they must. I bet they have Murktide Regent. That's a reason to do this. It puts a spell in your graveyard. It helps you set up for next turn. That's probably what's going on here. I do need to draw a gold spell, though. Preferably Kaya's Guile, but I won't be too picky. I think wasting here is pretty aggressive, unless they have something like Spark Volley, not Spark Volley, Blazing Volley, that could wipe out most of my board, or my whole board, actually. I hope they don't have that, but my mana dorks are pretty far ahead of this wasteland right now. Yeah, Murktide Regent, no surprise there. It's a 6/6. Let's draw a gold spell. Nope. More lands. Okay. I think I just put Yorion in my hand here. I'm going to tap the bird, even though it's my only blocker for a Murktide Regent, because I don't think they're going to attack. And if they do, I can't afford to spend my bird on it anyway. I'll probably just fetch 2 Triomes in the end step, make sure my mana's perfect going into the next turn. My deck does have Brainstorm, which is a reasonable argument to leave one of the fetch lands up. But I still think that just having perfect mana, being able to cast whatever spell I draw, is going to be more important than that. Abrade my Noble Hierarch. Okay. Interesting they went after Hierarch instead of Bird. I'm a 5-color deck. I'll attack with 2 creatures if I attack with any. So the Exalted doesn't matter. Get Jeskai Triome and I think Temur Triome. White, black. I have Birds of Paradise, which covers a lot. Uro is more interested in the Rug Triome, so I'll get that one. And I have a white-black land in my hand. Kaya's Guile. Come on, come on. Assassin's Trophy. We take those. Yeah, I'm gonna attack and then trophy them. The golems don't have haste, so there's no reason to do this first main. And I think I should do this now, because they can hardcast Force of Negation if they have it. And that's the card that would make me want to hesitate. And I will leave Bird back at this point, in case I need to block. Or they're just dead. They know what's going on here. Ricky Rage, not good enough here. Okay, I should probably cut one of these 81 cards in my deck. Which of these cards am I less excited about? They're actually all pretty good. Maybe I will just play 81. Maybe that's a joke. Maybe it's not. Niv-Mizzet is like, I really don't want that card in my opening hand, but I do really want to draw one on like turn 7 if the game goes that long. That's kind of tricky. I don't think there's any awkward shitters for the matchup left in the lower end of the curve. Like I like all this removal. I like all the threats. I like any number of Uros. Give me that for sure. Yeah, I think it is just a Niv. Sorry, buddy. I have exactly the hand I'm looking for here. A bunch of lands and a mana dork. The difference between the game 1 Wasteland, where I was already hurting for mana, and the game 2 Wasteland, where I just had it in oodles, was pretty striking. It's going to fetch. Can't afford to play around Stifle here. I don't think that's a card that's in their deck, but even if it is, it's not a card I can play around. Maybe I'm supposed to get Bayou there to set up Sculler for next turn, but with the fetch land, I can still get Bayou anyway. Probably going to bolt my bird here. Yep, literally bolt the bird. Alpha magic, as Richard Garfield intended. Every card in play and on the stack during that turn was in alpha. That was awesome. Wasteland was not an alpha. Okay, I'm wasted. But they don't have a threat, which is just everything right now. I'm gonna fetch, get probably Bayou this time, and play Birds of Paradise. Again, getting ahead on mana with Bird is more important than just having mana for later with Abundant Harvest. I can make this play next turn. Even if I get like Daze Your Bird, Waste Your Land, I can still fetch Trop and cast Abundant Harvest for a land next turn. But getting ahead on the Bird is just worth more than that. Alright, they do have Wasteland. Do they have another Bolt as well? They do, okay. We're in full hard mode. Really good thing they didn't have a turn 1 threat of any variety, or else we would be super dead. Sculler continues to be a challenge to cast. My Bayou's in the graveyard now. There is one tropical island left in the deck that makes green right now. It's probably right to daze this if they can, but I hope they don't. Oh yeah. The full Delver experience. Now we're in trouble because we're 2 lands away from every card in the hand, because Tropical Island doesn't cast either half of Sculler. I need them to keep passing the turn without a threat, but instead they cast Ragavan. Alright. Well, that is a land. I'll take it. Gonna get cracked by Ragavan here. Assassin's Trophy. Alright, I have basics in my deck, so... And they don't have... They're not able to cast this anyway. They don't have black or green mana, and the treasure only gives them one or the other. I think I want to fetch for Abzan Triome in the end step. Like, there's... I could not fetch and just leave a higher mass of land drops to hit in my deck. Or I could fetch and try to set up the better mana. I guess if I fetch Abzan Triome, I won't have red if I draw a Kavu, so I should just wait. I don't actually know what colors I need yet. Well, I drew a red card. Glad I planned for that. Gonna take another hit from Ragavan. They exiled my basic forest, so that's not in the deck anymore. Good to know. Luckily, I'm past the point of the game where fetching a basic is an option. They shuffled their Ponder. Expressive Iteration, and they do still have their land drop. Belding Tarn is the land drop. Mishra's Bauble. They looked at their top card. They like it. They haven't shuffled. On deck, how about that land? Ooh, we're in business, kinda. I'll take that for next turn. I'm not greedy. I'm happy with a land drop. I'm definitely going to fetch another Triome in this end step, though. Another hit from Ragavan. They haven't gotten anything except treasures off it yet. Let's hope they don't find any good spells. Rip apart. Alright, go ahead, cast it. There's only one target. Dragon's Rage Channeler, that's definitely Delirious. This game's gone on so long. Oh, this is Murktide region also. I'm not going to beat that one. Yeah, there were draws that could push through the Ragavan and the Dragon's Rage Channeler, like miracle stretches of draws that could do that, but I don't think I can get through this Murktide. I want the Indatha Triome. Plague Engineer, not going to do it. Yep, I'm just dead to everything here. Yeah, the double Wasteland, Dazier, or double Wasteland, double Bolt, and Dazier Abundant Harvest, they were able to hit my mana sources 5 times in the first 3 turns of that game. I'm not coming back from that. Like, you're just never winning that game with a deck like this one. Unfortunately, like the way that draw lined up. If they had one less Wasteland, one more creature, or something different, I mean, maybe we're talking a different game. If I'm casting spells for those 3 turns where they're just like pecking in with Ragavan, if Uro's on the stack 3 turns ago, if I get to check their hand with Sculler, trade with the Ragavan, all of those things, the alternate timeline, but yeah, Bolt Wasteland, Unholy Heat Wasteland, Dazier Abundant Harvest. This game was over before it started. On the draw, in round number 2, with a hand full of mana, I'm going to keep this. Just 5 mana sources is just a fine hand. I don't know what I'm playing against yet. Got Birds of Paradise. Okay, we're playing against some kind of post deck. Assassin's Trophy is going to be good. It can take out the first Cloud Post, which usually helps mitigate the effectiveness of the second one. I could rip apart the Candle if I need to. Cavern on Elf. Oh, this is not a post deck? Oh, it is a post deck. They just have Elvish Reclaimer in it. Okay, understood. I've caught up. I'm gonna rip apart this elf. Ah, bummer. I really want this Kavu in play. I guess I might have time to do that. Yeah, if I cast Kavu, I can fetch Jeskai Triome to make it a 5/5. Yeah. Green-red, Kavu. And then I can trophy and rip apart next turn. Like, I have an answer to the first Cloud Post, so one elf activation isn't the worst thing that could ever happen. Does my mana cast all this? Yeah, it does. Okay, so I get Jeskai Triome, or Rockhorn Triome, excuse me. Straight to 5/5. And my fetch land, I'm going to rip apart this elf with white, red, and then I can fetch Scrubland with the Verdant Catacombs. I rip you apart, get a second Cloud Post in response. Indeed. And then I think I want to attack and loot away the Birds of Paradise. So attack, trigger, discard a card if you do draw a card. I don't think I need this bird at this point. I can still Niv-Mizzet next turn without the bird, and I'm spending all my mana. Oh, I just drew the fucking Scrubland I was looking for. I need a different white source, or a different black source. Or a different green source. I have Bayou. Yeah, so I have all my options ahead of me here. Let's just make sure I can cast Niv next turn. So white or green, white, blue, black, whatever. It doesn't really matter what I get. My mana is pretty well set up here. I'm gonna get Underground Sea and then trophy this before they can crop rotate or make a bunch of mana in response. Green, black, take out a Cloud Post. Okay, here we are, doing zoo shit. Don't find another post, please. Primeval Titans in their hand. Caracas. Pithing Needle. What do they name with that? Wasteland. Okay. I don't play that card, but that is probably the right thing to name. Regrettably, Niv-Mizzet is a legend. Delightfully, it has a pretty good enters the battlefield trigger. So white, blue, red, black, green does the trick here. I'm doing this pre-combat in case I want to loot something away with the Kavu, which I probably will. Discard a card if you do draw a card. Which of these cards? I think that Ferris is unnecessary at this point. Or Ferris will clock them pretty quick. I could Ferris trophy. I think I want to loot away the Harvest. They kind of have to bounce Niv, or else they're just going to die to it. Yeah. Reload me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Another hard cast Once Upon a Time. No rush. You got all the time in the world. Vesuva, that makes another post. They can post to use Candle, or they're just Rex Saging. Why? So they had 2 mana. They could have untapped their 2 Cloud Posts. I guess if their last card is Primeval Titan and they just couldn't get double green, that makes sense. Okay. I can Ferris and Sculler, or I can Sculler and Trophy. I could Ferris and Trophy. I think Sculler and Trophy is the play. Do my lands actually do that? Yeah. White or black, green, black, white. Or in a variety of different ways I can do this actually. I think I want to attack with my Kavu first and loot. See if that changes my opinions. Or maybe I'm supposed to Sculler first. Right, white, black. Let's Sculler first, get a look at what they're working with. It's Emrakul and Primetime. So I'm going to take Primetime. And then I'll attack with my Kavu. I could trophy the Recruiter, but that seems... or the Reclaimer, but that seems dangerous and unnecessary. I'm going to discard probably the basic island. Grab in the lock. Okay. So that's dead. Can I still present lethal next turn? How much mana do they have? They have 1, 2, 3, 4. spend 2, untap it. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If they draw a Cloud Post, they'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Spend 3 of it, go down to 3. 3, 6, 9, 12, 13, 14. Okay, yeah, if they top deck a Cloud Post, I lose to this Emrakul. So I do need to Trophy or Sculler. And I think Trophy's better. Play my land. Or Sculler, is Sculler better? Sculler puts 2 extra damage on the board, but that's still not lethal. I think Trophy is just the line here. Black, green. Take out that Cloud Post. Okay. They packed it up. My bevy of riches. Niv-Mizzet ready to reload a second time if I need it. Okay, this deck. This one is a tricky one to play against. Choose a card name. Graveyard, hand, and library for up to 4 cards with the name. So I can name Cloud Post with this if I can ramp it out. The Fracturing Gust I don't think I want. This might be a Force of Will matchup. Like, Assassin's Trophy is really my only play in this matchup, and I was pretty fortunate to have one in my opening hand. Force of Will can hit Primeval Titan or Crop Rotation. Is Force better than... I don't think Deafening Clarion is a card I need in this matchup. Bring to Light, Niv, I like those. I like Uro. All the Mana Dorks, of course. Rip Apart seems pretty good. Lightning Helix also kills a Reclaimer. Drown and Lock kills Reclaimer. Izzet Charm seems medium, but if I'm cutting Izzet Charm, that's a blue card and a counterspell to bring in a counterspell that needs blue cards. I could answer Emrakul with Kaya's Guile. Like, I have answers here. I could Meddling Mage, naming Crop Rotation, try to slow them down, or name Emrakul. Like, Meddling Mage plus Sculler is a combo. I get to look at what's in their hand and effectively take 2 cards with the Sculler, then name a different one with Mage. If I'm doing that, what's getting cut? I need Ferris to clock. Like, you do actually have to win the game. Abrupt Decay matters. Alright, maybe Izzet Charm is not that good. It is one of the counterspells I can hit a Crop Rotation with, but Crop Rotation being a 1 mana spell makes that... Like, unless they Crop Rotate at the end of my second turn exactly, that doesn't matter. Okay, yeah, I think Meddling Mage is a better answer to Crop Rotation than Izzet Charm is in this particular matchup. I have to keep this hand. It doesn't have the trophy, unfortunately, but it does have mana, it's set up, it ramps, and you just have to keep hands like that, and hope it works. There's Reclaimer. Drawing that land was great. That means I can actually cast a 2-drop, or a 3-drop on turn 2. Do I want to get Bayou or Trop to cast this with? I think it's Bayou. I'm going to get Bayou, cast the Bird. Because Bayou gives me the black mana for Guile and K-Command. I can Eris right now, but that'll give them a second Reclaimer activation. I'm just going to pass the turn and K-Command when they rotate. So they activate that. I'll let them resolve their search in case losing their elf changes their mind about anything. Oh shit. If I K-Command and they discard a land, they get to keep their elf. Huh. I had not considered that until it was too late. I guess that's still the line though. Okay, so I probably want... I have red-black already between the bird. What land do I want to fetch here? Probably a blue one. My only blue source right now is this bird. If I get Tropical Island, I don't really want to overlap with the Bayou too much. What doesn't overlap with Bayou? Plateau wouldn't overlap with Bayou, but I don't have a Plateau. Volcanic Island doesn't overlap with Bayou, but I can't fetch that with Verdant Catacombs. Okay, I'm going to have to overlap with Bayou. Oh, right, I'm fetching with Verdant Catacombs, by definition. These are both the green-black cards in their cycle. Got it. And it's rough. Maybe I just... No, I can't get this card land, because I do want a blue source. I do want to still brainstorm if my bird doesn't survive. I'll get the Underground Sea. And I think that I'm going to go for Kaya's Guile instead of K Command because of that out that they might discard a land. Okay, each opponent sacks a creature and make a 1/1. That sounds pretty good. White, black, colorless. The K Command could clip the last card in their hand. We've seen artifacts out of them as well. Abrupt Decay, that was an excellent draw. I'm going to brainstorm first. See if my hand gets any better. Tundra and Ignoble Hierarch. Tundra does not cast Abrupt Decay or Hierarch, so I'm not going to be able to sneak that in here. I don't think I want to let them untap with this Reclaimer. I can tuck the Bring to Light and tuck the Hierarch and then the Bring to Light on top of it, because I can bring next turn. And Abrupt Decay this. They don't have green mana up. To Veil of Summer me, make that gone. Blast. Green Sun Zenith for 1. Another Reclaimer. Now I can Barris plus Sculler, get on board, and then Bring to Light to shut the door next turn. Or I could just bring right now, and I could reload my hand with a Niv, or I could get Tibalt and exile the Reclaimer. That is a thing that Tibalt does, right? I haven't played with that card in a while. Pretty sure it has like a kill target creature mode. Exile target artifact or creature. It does. Only one of these lines plays around Veil of Summer, though. I guess they can still Veil the Sculler. But I'm going to go for the disruptive line here. So let me make sure I can cast all my spells. Leave up green, black, or green, or black, white is what I need to leave up. Jesus. Okay. Red, white, leave up black, white. Got it. Black, white. Make a 4/4, check your hand. There's 2 cards left over there. I'm going to take this Green Sun Zenith, Emrakul the Aeon's Torrents in their hand. That means when I K command them next turn, even if they discard a land, the Emrakul will shuffle it away. Rex Sage, oh, destroying my Sculler, that's fair. And then they can Zenith. Alright, that was a pretty good draw. They have Zenith in their hand. Interesting. Now we have choices to make. If they rotate with the Reclaimer... Alright, let's look at what Bring to Light can get. Can just get Tibalt. I could get another Kaya's Guile, but that doesn't matter unless I cast K Command first. I could get Trophy, but they could just rotate the land away in response. I think I probably just want the Valky. Okay, red, white, black, green, blue. I get 1 trigger off the Bring, and then I get another trigger off the card I find with Bring. Could just Unmoored Ego, but we know that they have access to multiple things already, so I am just going to get the Valky and cast Tibalt Cosmic Imposter. And I'm going to exile the Rex Sage or the Reclaimer. Exile the Reclaimer, because that can block Ferric profitably. They'll untap with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana, which is not even close to Emrakul. They do have that Green Sun Zenith over there. Right, yeah, I'm not attacking with Ferric yet. It just trades off with the Rex Sage. And I can K Command to clear the blocker and get in for lethal next turn. Guess they're going to Zenith for prime time here. Maybe get a pair of Glimmer Posts. I don't know if they have a Glacial Chasm or anything in this deck. I don't know how robust the land package is on 12 post right now. Okay, they do have a Glacial Chasm. It's Active Forest to get that. Looted Delta. So I'm going to plus Valky. Unmoored Ego. That's a card I can cast. I can name Emrakul. Okay, Unmoored Ego, target you. Or no, I can... Yeah, I do name Emrakul. So, blue, black, colorless. Name Emrakul the Aeon's Torn. Just get that out of the deck. See what other cards in their hand. Nature's Claim's the other card in their hand. I believe they get to draw a card with Unmoored Ego. They have Endurance, Prime Time. Okay. That's gone, and they drew a fresh card to replace it. Play my land for the turn. I think I want to hold up Kolaghan's Command. They can't attack unless they sack their Chasm. And if they do attack, I can just eat a prime time in combat. If they sack their Chasm, at the beginning of combat, I'm gonna K-command, killing Rexage. I guess I don't need to do that yet. I'm all over the place right now. I'm gonna get Tropical Island for Uro considerations. The bird and the Triome can cast the K-command. The primetime triggers. It's attacking Tybalt. Got the eye. And then K-command. Target player discards a card and return target creature, or do I just kill the... Maybe I'll just block the Primeval Titan with everything first, and then we can talk about Kolaghan's Command later. That card's in the graveyard now. Glimmer Post. So we know they have Nature's Claim in hand and one mystery card. I think I want to kill the Rexage and get back Sculler. I don't even want to check their hand, or I don't want them to have a random discard. Return Sculler, deal 2 to Rexage. Black, red, colorless. Make a 4/4. And they gave up. This attack wasn't lethal yet, but we were in pretty good position. Awesome match on the board with Niv-Mizzet Domain Yorion Zoo. We're about halfway through the video, so let me just remind you that if you like this deck and you want to try it out, you can use the code BoshNRoll to support the channel while you shop for cards at tcgplayer.com, and you can play any deck anytime with cardhoarder.com loan account on Magic Online. These links are in the video description below. Now back to the league. I'm on the draw in round number 3 with 3 lands and a interactive 2-drop, but my Triome, which is ideally my first land drop, doesn't cast Trophy, which is ideally my second play. I think I still have to keep this. I have Uro and Ferris. Just kind of have to hope this is a slower matchup. This is definitely a hand that just loses to a Delver or to a Dark Ritual, though. No questions asked. But mulling functional 7s in your 5-color 80-card deck, just in case a matchup is something that you don't know what it is, I don't know. That seems looser than just keeping the playable hand. Here's we're playing against some sort of lands deck, maybe green-white, maybe actual lands, maybe 4-color, we'll see. The bad news is this deck 100% contains Wasteland. I'm going to start making fetch land drops and save this Rockman Triome till later. There's a basic island, forest, and swamp in the deck, and my fetch lands can get island, forest, swamp. Yeah, they had the Wasteland. Mazavith. Okay, they're down to 1 card in hand. Obviously, Elvish Reclaimer is worth a lot. Okay, drawing another fetch land that can get island is good, because if I want to Assassin's Trophy off of basics, like if they put together Merit Lage right now, that's something I need to be concerned about. Sacked Mazavith to get... What? What are you getting? Urza Saga. Alright, well, I think I just have to trophy the Saga. I'm going to get basic Forest and basic Swamp. And I'm going to trophy the Saga right now, while they can't rotate it away, while they can't make a construct, etc. You just got to hope that last card in their hand isn't super great right away, and then I can Uro an additional land drop into play and try to pull forward. So I'm sure they could just get another one next turn. Ooh, Tabernacle. They are hellbent. They're here. Supreme Verdict does clean up a series of constructs. Here's my island. Uro. I think I want to put in the fetch land with the Uro. So, okay. Yeah, I mean, them just having the Wasteland sitting over there is unexciting. And Tabernacle means I don't want to play this Hierarch. End step, rotated away the Tabernacle. That makes sense. That's not really helping them, and is in fact actively impeding them right now. And maybe I should have bet on them doing that and played the Hierarch. But they could waste whatever land I get, but the Wasteland's gonna get the Triome eventually, so yeah, maybe I should have done that. Fuck. I was just gonna say, if they don't find Loam, we're actually doing okay, but drew Loam off the top. They were hellbent 1 turn ago. They had 1 draw step. Now we're just gonna get buried by Sagas. And Wastelands. We're never gonna get ahead of this Wasteland at this point. Drawing Triomes when I'm already behind a Wasteland. Exactly where I want to be. Right, well, I can't even get Ferris in because I don't have enough basics for all that. Okay, I'll play my land. It'll get wasted immediately. They're fetching in the end step, making a construct, probably activating Reclaimer as well, turning Mizzet into something better. Now that Loam's online, they can just go completely ape. Fogging my Uro, sure. Ugh, why'd they have to draw the Loam? They could tutor up Pithing Needle here, which makes me want to fetch, but at the same time, that lets them waste both my lands, but I can't just let them get me with Needle. I think I want Savannah here as a white source. I guess I have white sources, but yeah, the Supreme Verdict is a card that I need to cast, and that's still not winning me the game. And I can cycle this Triome with my 3 mana. They got Relic, okay. Sure. I've exiled a land, you got me. I'm gonna float white from that Wasteland. Draw a card with this land, regrettably. Okay. Found a land that I can just jam into play. So I can at least put Niv-Mizzet on the stack this turn. If they Wasteland me, they have Exploration to play, never mind. I was gonna say if they waste me, they don't get another construct, but obviously that's not true. Still leaving up Reclaimer. Ooh, that's interesting. It's a little late, but it is interesting. If I get a red source with this, I can cast Niv-Mizzet. I believe Taiga's the only one, or there's also Badlands. Alright, there were 2 options. Gotta hope a 6/6 can hold the fort, and these cards I reload on are actually helpful. Niv-Mizzet is reborn. Okay, I have to choose between Uro or Bring to Light for my Simic card. I'm gonna take Bring to Light. I gotta swing for the fences. Niv only drew 2 there, but that's okay. It's still a 6/6. Making a construct in my end step. So the constructs will be 7/7s, and Niv has to chump block, and I'm still dead. Okay. I guess I can let them show me what other artifacts they have to tutor if they find another bullet here. They drew that Loam. Right when... Yeah, this game was definitely... That was a moment where, like, on the channel all the time when I'm, like, yelling out the name of the card I want to draw, and then it appears, they were over there like, Loam, 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 Loam. And it was, in fact, found. Alright, they have Foundry. And their constructs can actually be 8/8s. They have Thespian Stage to go with the Saga. Okay. Unmoored Ego. Does that hit graveyards? Target player's opponent? Yeah, okay, yeah. I could name Loam or Urza Saga depending on what's necessary. Fracturing Gust can kill any number of sagas and constructs altogether. Engineered Explosives can take out Exploration plus other 1-drops that have been found or a wall of token creatures. Rip Apart looks good. Helix does hit the Elf early on. I just brought in a bunch of different stuff to replace Supreme Verdict, because hopefully Verdict will hurt me. Like, not that I hope that I'm hurting myself, but in general, if my plan is going well, then Verdict is as bad for me as it is for them. I'm losing if Verdict is just purely good for me, like that last game it would have been. Sculler can remove Loam from the hand or Punishing Fire, but it also gets hit by Punishing Fire. I do like the whole top end in this matchup. Just jamming one of these 5s is how I have to pull ahead. Kaya's Guile being Graveyard Hate is excellent. Kolagun's Command can mess with Saga stuff, change the size of constructs in mid-combat. All that's good. Drown in the Lock. Don't love that, but don't hate it either. It's right down the middle. Is it better or worse than Lightning Helix? I could also play Meddling Mage, which answers Loam until they kill the mage. That's interesting. And I do have Assassin's Trophy to take out techie lands like Glacial Fortress, or Glacial Chasm, or Tabernacle. Okay, I'm in for that. And I think Deafening Clarion comes out in this matchup. Alright, let's do it this way. Reveal my companion to start off. Absolutely cannot keep a one-lander here. Here we go. 4 lands and some acceleration. Burrows in the game. I'm going to keep this. I think I bottom Sculler. Yeah, I'm going to send the Sculler. I feel like we're both going to be beating up on each other's graveyards a bit, but the upside of Uro is there. I can turn to the front half of Uro, just where I want to be. Can't get basic, so I'm going to get Trop and cast Ignoble Hierarch. If this was Noble Hierarch, I would have got Bayou. Those are the spreads that just cover the most colors. Grove of the Burn Willows, Elvish Reclaimer. You got it. I think I want to Uro first, and then Kaya's Guile later. Just put them to the test on this immediately. Like, if they have to tutor for Bajuka Bog on turn 2 instead of something they actually want, I'm taking it. I can Bring to Light this turn. Oh yeah, turn 3 Bring to Light for 5. We are playing Pioneer. Pithing Needle. I'll fetch in response to that, for sure. I'm gonna get a Triome. Probably the Jeskai one. I don't see white or red among the lands I already have. What do you name with Needle? Did I show them anything last game? Grist the Hunger Tide. Oh, you give me too much credit. Maybe that card should be in the deck, though. It seems pretty good. They kept a one-lander? No respect at all. Okay, time to jam. What color am I missing? I have red. If I get red or white, I'm good here with this land. I can get a red source, or I can get a white source that also casts Uro out of the graveyard. So white, red, black, green, blue. Is this accurate? Red, green, black, blue, white. Okay, so not Scrubland. Savannah? Is there a Savannah? Oh, Blue to Delta can't get Savannah. Damn it! This is the hardest part of the entire deck. Okay, I'm getting a white source. White, blue, red, green, and black. I'm going to cast this. I think I'm just going to get Valky and eat their Reclaimer. If they're on this weird one-lander, the Reclaimer is obviously important, and I'm going to take it. This deck's really good at beating creatures and not good at beating Planeswalkers, just at baseline, so I'm going to go with that. And they packed it up. Nice. I don't think my sideboard plan changes. I haven't learned any super relevant new information. Yeah, this is still the same plan. Let's go. Regrettably, I'm going to have to mulligan this Devil Nip hand. If they weren't a Wasteland deck, maybe I'd run with it, but nah. Okay, I can keep this. I think I'm going to send Bring to Light to the bottom. Seems like it's the farthest away from being helpful. I'm going to need this Brainstorm to do some work, and this hand is definitely one that is hurting for mana. A Birds of Paradise off the top would be a delightful find. I can set up a Brainstorm. I could just go basic Island, Explosives on 1, be ready for... Yeah, I'm going to Explosives on 1, get basic Island. I'm a little worried about Choke here, but I'll be careful with that with my other 2 fetches. Like, I can get the Forest and the Swamp with my other 2 fetches. This will get the Reclaimer. It'll also slow them down on any sort of exploration kind of stuff. No attack, so they are planning on activating their Reclaimer. This I'll get the black mana set up here, because next turn I can Brainstorm, fetch, cast Sculler, or I could just Unmoored Ego them. I'm just going to pass. If they don't activate Reclaimer, I don't need to destroy anything. See what they get. Oh, they sacked the Saga. They're not moving in on that. Okay, yeah, they're trying to get set up. I hope they don't have a Ghost Quarter. Ooh, that would be bad for me. I've carefully gotten all my basics just to die to Ghost Quarter. Stage, alright. I'm gonna get my swamp and blow up their reclaimer. Bang. That out of here. Second Thespian stage. Okay. Kavu. Alright. I can unmoored Ego and name Wasteland or Loam. What do I think is actually the more important card here? If I fetch, I have to get a white source for Sculler. I could also do the Brainstorm Sculler play that I described. Yeah, that's probably the right one. Could have also named Depths there, I guess. Kavu's pretty good. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get Ferris in. Oh, Ferris can go. Guile is insane. I do want the Hierarch, but I'm not going to have... Or I do have a Savannah I can fetch. Ugh, this is on hard mode. I could just take a turn off Sculler, fetch my basic, cast Noble Hierarch, and be set up for next turn. If I just shuffle away both red cards. Alright, this might be reckless, but I'm into it. Forest, Hierarch. Yeah, that this runs into Punishing Fire in a way that takes me off white, which bricks half my hand. Yeah, that was not a good decision. I think I just want to unmoored Ego Wasteland that turn, and that's the play. Fuck. Come on, deck, white source. I don't deserve it, but please help me out here. White source, fetch land. I should specify a... Okay, they played around Assassin's Trophy, so that did cut my outs down. Alright, fetch land or untapped white source, please. Please. Ugh, sweet relief. That was terrifying. Okay. Fetch. There is a Savannah in the deck. Is that what I want? I already have green. I could get Tundra. I think Savannah is the play. And then sack a creature, exile your graveyard. White, black, blue. Okay. Let's see if they can pivot onto a Wasteland strat now. Hope not. Yavimaya. Okay, I mean, that helps me, kinda, eventually, maybe. Oh, come on. Another one? Right away? I worked so hard. Even had Yavimaya to make the extra mana. I hate my life. I hate it here. Okay, fine. Alright, deck, help me out again. I'm gonna keep calling for help. Second Kaya's Guile. Ah! Ah! Oh my god. Alright. Alright. Okie dokie. Artichokes. Each opponent sacks a creature, exile all cards from each opponent's graveyard. That is the mode. Wow. I only played 2 of those, by the way. It's an 80 card deck. The Magic Gods are here this time. They've not forsaken me. Not yet, anyway. Alright, don't have any red mana. I'm gonna check their hand with Sculler, see what they're up to. And then put Yorion in my hand. Or I could ego them, depending on what I see here. Crop rotation and response. For Saga, okay. Their hand is Pyroblast. Alright, I guess good thing I didn't ego them. Was ego... I don't even think ego is the play. I think getting Yorion in hand is the play right now. Just having a beefer around. They are Hellbent currently, but they have Saga ticking up. Okay, Stage can copy Saga, so they have a long-term plan now, but at least I know what's going to work and what's not. Still don't have red mana, or else this otherwise would be a source for excitement. If I attack, they don't have a good block. And missing red here is harsh. I'm going to cast Yorion. I'm not going to flicker my Sculler, because then my opponent will get their Pyroblast back and get to kill Yorion. Just put a 4/5 into play. Okay, they did take the time to copy Saga rather than make a construct right away. That is the right play. They'll eventually have a Thespian stage that can crank out constructs every turn. Construct's been created. We get to look for something here. We got the Foundry, okay. Come on, deck. Red source. Red source. Red source me. Yeah! It's fucking go time. Make sure that red is all I'm missing. White. There's no plateau in the deck, so I can't double up on white. Green, black, blue, white, red. Yeah, okay. White, red, blue, black, green. Assassin's Trophy, put that in my hand. And Territorial Kavu. An attack for 4. I'm not going to run the Sculler in. That's not worth a trade with the 2/2. Right, they are under the gun. They've drawn 1 card here. Crop rotation for Caracas would slow down my beats pretty considerably. Alright, it was just a Taiga. Yeah, they're definitely behind, and they know I have Trophy now. I can Ferris and Trophy with my mana and just pile on. Trophying this Thespian Sage Saga is a complete beating for them. Okay, white, red, colorless. I'm holding up green, black. I guess I could have tapped the forest for colorless because every land is a forest right now. Smash for 10 flying. Let's see what they want to do with this Thespian Stage. Okay, they made a servo in the end step. I'm gonna blast the stage now before they get to tutor for something. 1 draw step to rule them all. They could draw Glacial Chasm or Crop Rotation for it and buy a bunch of time. Tabernacle doesn't matter. Mazavith doesn't matter. And they're done! The back-to-back Kaya's Guile. Miracle 80 card top deck. Kaya's Guile. Got us through that one. G freaking G's. It's round 4. I'm on the draw. I'm going to keep this hand. It's extremely mana heavy, but as I've made clear, those are the hands I'm looking for in the Legacy format. Uh-oh. I'm not looking for Lotus Petal in the Legacy format. Finally ran into our worst matchup. A combo deck. Crystal Vein. Alright, they're a weird combo deck. We have a chance. We were definitely just DED against a real Legacy combo deck. Not to say that this is not real Legacy, just that what they're doing is probably less efficient or less iterated on or less perfected than normal Legacy combo decks. This was just like Storm or whatever. It's a shame we wasted a turn 2 4/4 Kavu on this. This is just like a show and tell deck that is playing additional soul lands. Oh, we're coming through the breach. Alright. So I'm gonna get hit with Emrakul here and be at 5. Grizzlebrand. Okay. Let's see how dedicated this deck is. Can it put a second monster into play right now? Or is it just gonna like draw 21 and pass the turn? They've made their land drop already. Izzet Charm, I guess, is the best card in my deck. Best draw in my deck. So I imagine their 14 cards, possibly 21, that they're going to draw this turn could beat an Izzet Charm. I take my medicine, 7 damages. They did go the full 21 cards. A 3rd Grizzlebrand activation. Are they built to win the game on the spot, or are they just loading up a perfect hand for next turn? The Mean Spirit Guide entered the exile zone. Oh, a Seething Song. Cool. Yeah, they got more. Elvish Spirit Guide also in this deck. Yeah, this is a plan. They've exiled 4 Spirit Guides this turn. Sneak Attack's in play now. Second main phase. But they're activating it. World Spineworm. Okay, so that'll die and they'll make 3 5/5s in the end step. I guess if you were discarding all those cards anyway, it's fine. You get a pile of 5/5s here. Don't think I could beat those. And I'm pretty sure the 17 cards in their hand have another creature in them as well. Let me see this discard step. Show me more cards in your deck. I'm willing to bet at this point that the Crystal Vein is in addition to Ancient Tomb and City of Traders. It's not a budget choice. Like, this is probably just a deck that has more than 8 soul lands in it, based on the fact that they have all 8 Spirit Guides. I wonder if they have the modern Nourishing Shoal thing going on, because World Spine Worm, while obviously it is pretty good with Sneak Attack, there are better creatures you can put into play, like Emrakul. Right. We briefly saw a show and tell there in their graveyard, so they are also a show and tell deck. Drown in the Loch, no text. I'm dead. I'm not going to show them more things. They've seen Ignoble Hierarch Tropical Island. I could be doing anything. If I play this Kavu, or even if I play like Triome or Badlands, that gives them so much more information. Right now I'm just a tempo deck, probably Infect. If I saw Tropical Island Ignoble Hierarch, I would guess Infect. Okay, Force of Will's in the deck, Power Blast in the deck, Unmoored Ego's coming into the deck, Meddling Mage is in the deck. This is the first time we've had to do the whole combo thing, which is pretty cool. I mean, at least it's cool to get it on camera. So Lightning Helix is out. Abrupt Decay's out. Trophy could play. Like, Trophy could hit a Sneak Attack or even a Grizzlebrand itself. I need all my mana dinguses. Valky can check their hand for a monster. Valky is Scholar number 5 in this matchup. Is it Charm and Drown are both here. Stay. Deafening Clarion's out. I like that the cards I've cut so far are also non-blue. That goes a long way. I'm gonna have to start cutting things like Niv though, and so or Supreme Verdict might be good against if they get like one worm into play without sneak attack, if they like threw the breach a worm. That's a thing. Ferris is probably something I have to take it easy on. Oligon's Command. They could have Defense Grid or some thing like that I need to answer. But I don't like Oligon's Command just for the discard mode. Rip Apart can hit Sneak Attack if they have to pass the turn with a Sneak Attack in play. I think Abundant Harvest is probably gonna get cut next. Maybe one Abundant Harvest, one Uro. Or both Abundant Harvest. Kavu is how I win the game. I think one Uro can go, even though it's blue. I would cut more if it wasn't blue, and we were so dedicated to the blue count right now. I like Territorial Kavu more than I like Ferris as far as ways to win the game go. But I do have all these trophies. I think Kolagon's Command is actually the last cut here. So Kite Command, make you discard a card, pick my Sculler back up is pretty good, but all of that is planning for a game that's going to go long, where Ferris will just make the game shorter. Okay, here I go. Also keep in mind, Yorion is a blue card we can put in our hand at any point for Force of Will, as long as we have 3 mana, so that might be something that will come up during this game. I have Meddling Mage. Do I think they're gonna turn to me? Meddling Mage is tough because we've seen Show and Tell through the breach and Sneak Attack. Like, Meddling Mage doesn't even necessarily do it. I'm gonna keep this hand though. This matchup is just so bad that I'm gonna have to get a little lucky regardless. And this hand is just stacked with mana, 2 threats, one of them's disruptive. Yeah, I'm doing it. I'm gonna lead on Bird. I think having my mana right is gonna be more important than a point of Exalted here or there. Because I'm spending all my mana next turn. I'm playing Meddling Mage and another Mana Dork. It's not like I'm gonna spend Meddling Mage, then attack for 1. Oh god, here it comes. Sometimes you just get turn 1'd. Kavu or Mage, what's better to put into play? Or is it just like Bird and try to pull ahead? It's probably Kavu, because that can loop me into another card. I just have Sneak Attack. Got the fast mana to go with that. More fast mana. Already passing the turn. No chance. World Spine Worm. Cool. Okay. Literally turn 1. This deck is not good against combo. I said that in the deck tech. It is ringing true now. Even if I have Sculler, even if I mulligan to Sculler there or Valky, it just doesn't get the job done. And I'm dead to all these things. Supreme Verdict's my only out in the deck to these. They didn't bring in the Engineered Explosives. Maybe I'm supposed to. I don't know. Yeah, we lost. Okay. GG's. That deck. That was a weird deck, but it was definitely good against me. I'm on the play in the final round with a banger. I'm keeping it. This hand does most of the things I'd want a hand to do. Figuring out what land I'm going to cast this Ignoble Hierarch with is a challenge. I think I'm going to want a Sculler before I Kavu, generally speaking. I mean, I want to cast it off Bio. No, I want to cast it off Trop, because Trop gives me the most colors. I have everything but white. Then I can fetch Savannah on the next turn. And that gives me white-black off Hierarch, or green-red What if my Hierarch dies? Then I'll have... What makes my hand function if Hierarch gets killed? That's the next question. If I have black-white, is there a way to get black, white, and green-red off of 2 lands and cast Ignoble Hierarch on turn 1? Okay, if I cast Ignoble Hierarch off of Bayou, it gets killed. I can fetch Savannah. Nope. There's no Plateau. Yeah, Plateau is the missing piece here. If I cast Ignoble Hierarch off of Savannah, I can get black-red. I can get Badlands. Yeah, I could fetch Savannah and then Badlands. Will cast the 2 creatures in my hand if my Hierarch is killed. I'm going to do that. We don't have blue mana in this spread for the Drown, but I think that's okay. We're here to tap out, and that's what I'm going to do. Opponent mulled to 6. A Verdant Catacombs. That's usually not in fair decks, unfortunately. Okay, we're getting a turn. It's a miracle. Now I don't necessarily need to make a decision. I could just skull them and wait, or I could jam a 4/4 Kavu into play right now. Yeah, Kavu, the looting is just something I really want access to. So here's Kavu. Currently a 2/2. I can fetch to make it at least a 4/4, maybe a 5/5. I don't think I can make it a 5/5. Yeah, all of my triomes are either a forest or a plains. One of them's both. But 2 Verdant Catacombs is so scary. This Hymn to Tarok is a Dark Ritual. Is it Vampire Hexmage? Lotus Petal? Crop Rotation? Is it Entomb Reanimate? Oh no. Maybe should have left up Drown in the Lock. Okay, this is the Epic Storm. Okay. I have Kolaghan's Command in my hand for this talisman. I'm going to make a wish right now for a Triome. Got to figure out which one I want. I have red or black, so the Triome has to make red or black. I think Ketria, that's the Rug Triome, that gives me a island and a mountain that grows, yeah, that grows the Kavu the highest while also casting Kolaghan's Command. Oh, sick. I could Sculler plus Drown, but I think that is all probably worse than K-commanding. Though Sculler plus Drown is really strong. Though so is Wishclaw Talisman. I think Kolaghan's Command, kill the Talisman and make them discard is the play. Okay, you discard a card and you lose your Talisman. Black, colorless, red, K-command. Gold deck. Respect me. Ooh, discarded a Veil of Summer. They decided they don't need that one. I'm gonna attack and loot away Niv-Mizzet before I fetch. I think having card selection and making decisions based on that is more important than 1 extra damage. And I could still get the damage if I don't draw a card that I care about. Okay. What's missing? I'm missing a swamp from this spread of lands. I could get the Indotha Triome, but I think I just want Underground Sea. At least represent some kind of spell going into the next turn. If I don't die right now, I am untapping with all of these answers available. Ooh, alright. White, black, Sculler. Let's have a look. Veil of Summer, LED, Petal, right. I think I take the Veil because Drown in the Lock is pretty important here. I'm going to attack and I'm going to discard a Sculler and draw a card. If I had discarded, is it Charm? I could have cast the Sculler, but Sculler's not actually good here. I think Drown in the Lock will cover most of my needs. If they draw, okay, they drew Verdant Catacombs, which means they have to use their Talisman to get whatever payoff they're looking for, and they're dead on board. So they do have to move right now. They're going to have a bunch of cards in their graveyard for Drown. Cracking their Verdant Catacombs. It's go time. Petal. LED. Rite of Flame. Hellbent. It's go time. Activated Talisman. They activated Talisman and before they sacked LED, so they're probably getting Echo. Guess they could get something like Empty and keep their LED for a turn. Yeah, they got Echo. Alright. And they have 8 cards in their graveyard. They will have 7 left when they go for the Echo, and then I drown it. Blue-black, drown in the lock, and we're done. Into the sideboard we go. This looks familiar. This is the same sideboard plan we did last round, but this time I actually know what to name with Meddling Mage, or at least I have a better sense of it. This deck, I believe I also want the Engineered Explosives and maybe even Plague Engineer against, so I'm going to make a maybe pile up here in the sideboard. Just bringing in everything except Yorion. Supreme Verdict's out. Polygon's Command is good. Deafening Clarion does the same thing that Plague Engineer does in the matchup. I guess the life, like, I could just randomly spew off a bunch of lifelink attacks, but I don't think that's where I want to be. Valky is not the same. Valky is good against Show and Tell, because it can take a creature out of their hand, which is part of their combo, but this deck is not going to have or care about creatures. They don't really care about their graveyard, at least not in a way that is super meaningful. Lightning Helix is not a card that I want for this matchup. Polygon's Command's great. Uro's a little slow, but it is blue. Bring to Light. I could Bring to Light from Meddling Mage or Unmoored Ego. Yeah, I think Bring to Light's better than Niv-Mizzet as far as cards I could have in my hand. I'll leave one Niv in there in case I want to Bring to Light for it if the game does get to that point. Probably an Uro gets the cut here. Abrupt Decay and Assassin's Trophy can take out defense grids, Witchcolor Talismans, all that kind of stuff. Uro is just a little clunky. I think Plague Engineer has more action to it than Ferris does for this matchup. They're both 3-drops that don't affect the stack, but one of them cleans up and empty the warrens, and the other like wins faster if I'm already ahead. I think this is as good as it can get. I guess I could bring in the Fracturing Gust if they pass the turn with... Yeah, if they just like give me a window somehow at 5 mana where they're just like have an LED and a defense grid in play. And maybe Fracturing Gust is actually good. But I would have to cut, ideally, a non-blue top-end card. Ferris is like the only one of those left. Okay, Ferris is out. Fracturing Gust is in. Literally boarded in every card except Yorion for this matchup. I'm not sure if it's right. Like, Fracturing Gust is a maybe, the Plague Engineer is maybe. Pretty sure about the rest of the cards, though. Alright, Birds of Paradise Sculler. This is a keep. Opponent's on 6. After sideboard, they have to respect Mindbreak Trap. Even if I don't have it, they don't know that. But at least they have to think about it. They don't have to respect it. That's completely optional. Ponder. That's 1 spell. I'm getting the 3rd one. Wink, wink. Did not shuffle. Ran out of Lotus Petal. It's 2 spells. Well, they're committed at this point. If I had Mindbreak Trap, they'd lose, but instead, they're going to win. Right, yeah, we're just taking an Echo here. Okay, that could have been worse. It's still bad, but could have been a lot worse. I ended up with the same hand. But they have 7 fresh cards, and Storm is already 7. After a very long deliberation, they kept their Ponder and then passed the turn. Interesting. Let's draw Force of Will, please. Rip apart. Okay, I basically have the exact same hand, except now I have Noble Hierarch instead of Birds of Paradise in it. If I get another untap, my hand is pretty good, but again, asking for an untap against the Epic Storm that just kept a Ponder is asking a lot. Sculler gets beat by Veil of Summer, but so does Drown and Izzet Charm, so there's a lot of concerns here. I hope that they just play Wishclaw Talisman and pass the turn. Let me rip it apart. That's the ideal situation for me here. Looks like they're going for something here. Verdant Catacombs into Lion's Eye Diamond. Cracking their Catacombs. All the downtime's getting edited out, but they're spending a lot of time thinking in between each of these plays. As if they don't quite have it, or they're doing the calculations, or it was a tricky line, but they do have it. We'll find out soon. Burning Wish. Okay, are we just echoing again? We are echoing again. Okay. Another look at Force of Will. I'll take it. Okay, I can still Sculler next turn. I can still, or I could Meddling Mage plus Hierarch. I don't think I want to Sculler straight into Veil of Summer. Yeah, they just passed the turn after that. That was not great for them. I drew Uro. So I can play Meddling Mage, and I think I want to fetch for Scrubland. Play Meddling Mage. I'm fetching for the Scrubland because I want a black source in case my hand changes significantly again. I could go for the Sculler, but wow, I don't want to get blown out by Veil. I could Meddling Mage naming Veil. I could Meddling Mage naming Lion's Eye Diamond. I think I'm going to do that. It's either a tutor or an enabler. Like it's Burning Wish or... It's Burning Wish or Lion's Eye Diamond, I think. Maybe Dark Ritual is a reasonable argument. I'm going to name LED, though. And continue building up my board. Next turn, I get to start bopping. Next turn, I can bring to light. It's not for 5, but I can bring things to light if I need to. If I draw a black source, I can double Sculler. Trophy. Kind of interesting, but also not really. I can bring to light for 4. What's in my deck for 4? Unmoored Ego also gets hit by Veil. Kolaghan's Command gets hit by Veil. Turns out Veil's pretty good. Who knew? I guess I can just Sculler and see what happens. And I should tap Tundra to do it, because Noble Hierarch is just Tundra with upside. Oh, their hand just got revealed. Dope. 2 Lion's Eye Diamonds over there. They are all dressed up with nowhere to go. I guess I'll take a Dark Ritual, because taking their only colored card also turns off the Chrome Mox. And then get Uro in there. All the getting's good. Got Bayou into play. Alright, cool. We are ahead here, and it's time to close it out. They have 2 cards they can't cast. 1 card that is just 0 mana, +1 Storm. They have redundant copies of a Legend. They're certainly not, like, just dead, but they are in trouble. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can Sculler and still bring to light if I need to. Black, white, Skull you again. Found Rite of Flame. I'll take the Ritual again. Play the land. Back for 2. I'm casting Bring to Light, just gotta figure out what I'm getting. I could get the other Meddling Mage and name Burning Wish. Just try to get ahead of that. There's a Burning Wish in exile already. They're out of echoes. I could ego them. Just get a look at their deck and what's left in it. Okay, that sounds reasonable. Alright, white, green, blue, black, another white. Bring to light for 4. Kolaghan's Command's not it. Assassin's Trophy's not it. I'm just taking one more look before I make a decision. I could also just get, like, Kavu and put lethal on board. Oh, but I don't have a mountain, so it's actually one short of lethal even if I get Kavu. In which case, why would I do that? Okay, I'm gonna unmoor their ego. And I'm gonna name Burning Wish. Alright, they're just conceding to that. That's how we do it. Put up a 3-2. Another positive record with Domain Zoo. We lost to a really dedicated, like, turn 1, turn 2 combo deck, but we beat the combo deck that's more interested in gathering resources over time. The Epic Storm did echo twice and whiff twice, basically, which bought me a lot of time to take actions. But this deck is a serious machine against fair decks. I think I want more removal in the main deck. Trying to think of what that would look like. Maybe Abundant Harvest. One of the Abundant Harvest should be another Abrupt Decay. Or there's probably some creature that like ETB pings something. Maybe there is, maybe there's not. I think I wanted to cost 1 or 2 though. The Delver matchup was rough. Ragavan matchups are rough. There's not a lot of answers to Ragavan in this deck, other than be bigger than it. But the Ragavan decks are generally also Wasteland decks, so that is trouble for a deck that's trying to do what we're trying to do. Maybe another Helix, but I think Decay is better than Helix. You want some number of Abundant Harvest, but maybe you just don't. Maybe you just rely on the top of the deck to get the job done. And I added a mana source from the list that Rob originally sent me. Remember, I cut a card for an 8th mana dork. And maybe you just cut 2 Abundant Harvest, add another Abrupt Decay. You could even add a 9th mana dork if you want. Every time we had one, it just was really great. They're bad top decks, but that's okay, I guess. I think that's okay. Kolaghan's Command was pretty good every time we drew it. I feel like I made some heads-up plays, like not killing that elf when they could have discarded a land to save it. Like, I'm pretty proud of how I played a number of these matchups. And you have to find those lines. You can't give anything away when you're doing something brewy like this. I have seen main deck Pyroblast in the format. Like, a lot of the Delver and Dragon Rage Channeler decks are doing that. But those decks have Brainstorm to put it away if they don't want it. They have Dragon's Rage Channeler to mill it if they don't want it. And my deck is a lot more stuck with it if I just draw it against Death and Taxes. So maybe not on that one. But I do like adding another Abrupt Decay over the Abundant Harvest. At least one of the Abundant Harvests. Maybe another Helix as well. So being able to answer Murktide Regent matters a lot. I have Kaya's Guile in the deck that can do that currently. And Assassin's Trophy. Like, Trophy that definitely gets it. Guile that might get it if I have enough control of the rest of the board. And Supreme Verdict. Maybe the second Supreme Verdict. But like I said, you don't want Supreme Verdict because you're a creature deck. Okay, I'm thinking the 4th Trophy is where I want to be over Abundant Harvest. And Kaya's Guile was real good. Graveyards matter a lot. Creatures matter a lot. I don't know if you want a 3rd copy of that. Alright, I'm just sort of rambling about minutia right now, so I'm going to wrap up the video. But Abundant Harvest, season this slot to taste. These are 2 slots that could definitely be another removal spell, another counter spell, whatever you think you need. If your metagame is full of the Epic Storm, you could put Null Rods and Mindbreak Traps in your sideboard. You could put Collector Roof in the main deck. You have Bring to Light. Maybe that's a thing you want to do. All of those are on the table, so just season to taste. You got 95 cards to work with. Well, 94, because Yorion is non-negotiable. 94 slots to work with here to make this do what you need it to do. And it's a lot of fun to play. I love this deck. Thank you, Rob, for asking me to play it. Everyone make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you want to go a little above and beyond. If you want coaching sessions or donations decks like Rob, hit that YouTube membership button. Check out those perks. Patreon has all the same perks. They're lined up together. Check those out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.